Don't lie to me. Don't be shy. I just wanna talk to you.
Finish my tea. If you want me to perform differently or react differently, tell me. I have no problem. Hello again. I understand you're going to ask me some questions. Could be interesting. I hope you enjoy. Fire away your questions.
Name,
My name is John.
surname,
Is King.
occupation,
I was a professional sportsman for quite some years. Then, as with most things in my life, sheerly by accident, I fell into the world of TV and radio. Some of my friends thought I spent so much time with horses, I must be half horse myself.
I just wanna talk to you.
And from one silliness, which is all I can describe it, I then found myself with a career in radio, both commercial and BBC. I found myself being invited to nightclubs because people had heard my voice. So, I don't know, people are strange. People are very strange. A nightclub asked me if I would go along and be a guest presenter one night, and they put on some of their advertising. It was John King from BBC local radio, and they put some comments about the man who thinks line dancing is dangerous. And people came because they were curious. They'd heard the voice and wanted to see what the face looks like. So perhaps they were happy, perhaps they were disappointed. No one hit me. So I guess that was a good result. And it worked. I then found myself working on the radio in the morning. I was working as a DJ in clubs and a nightclub host for some years. It was great fun. I then got an invitation to work with some 60s groups who were doing revival music. The Beatles have been around forever. Everyone knows the Beatles. But some of the groups that in the 60s and early 70s played music and toured with the Beatles, they still earn a very good living by doing cabarets and shows. And I would end up working with these groups, touring with them. 2 or 3 groups would work together, but of course they needed time to change between acts. So you needed some foolish person to go out there and talk to the audience, say a few jokes, reminisce a little. And my God, I can't believe it, I even sang a few times. No, before you ask, I am not going to perform for you today. Perhaps another time.
Лондон – всемирная столица ночной жизни и сердце мирового клубного движения. Стильные, тусовочные и экстравагантные люди со всего мира приезжают сюда ради бурлящей, кипящей энергии ночной жизни. Большинство клубов открыто до 3 часов утра в пятницу и субботу. Более крупные заведения иногда работают с четверга по воскресенье. Вход в клуб стоит от 2 до 20 фунтов. Центром ночной жизни Лондона на протяжении уже нескольких веков является Сохо. Это место всегда привлекало артистов, художников, музыкантов и просто великие умы. А сегодня там зажигают самые отвязные тусовщики со всего мира.
But that was some time ago. It was very enjoyable. After a while, I became to know some of these people. Let me tell you, they are a lot older than me. They were singing and popular in the 60s and 70s at the same time as John Lennon and Paul McCartney were having hits as the Beatles. But there were other groups at the same time. There was the Dave Clark Five, the Shadows, there was Freddie and the Dreamers, Jerry and the Pacemakers, all these groups. And I actually ended up on some of the revival tours, if I can hold that for the camera. I've got a steady hand, maybe I can hold it like that, it'll be more steady. I toured with some of these groups. By this time, I was in my early 30s, and they were all in their 50s, perhaps. But they are still very, very popular.
Freddie and the Dreamers – популярная британская группа 60-х, выступавшая в стиле Mercy Beat. В середине 60-х хиты Freddie and the Dreamers соревновались в хит-парадах с песнями Битлов. Лидер и солист группы Фредди Гаррити. Его манера выступления была весьма необычной. Он постоянно пускал шуточки, кривлялся и выделывал весьма странные танцевальные номера. Как и большинство британских групп того времени, Freddie and the Dreamers практически не сочиняли собственных песен, предпочитая исполнять кавер-версии. В 1965-м их сингл «I'm Telling You Now» стал хитом номер 1 в Америке. А когда в свет вышла очередная пластинка «Do the Freddie», американская молодежь буквально сошла с ума. Но время шло, появлялись новые стили, а музыканты Freddie and the Dreamers продолжали играть то, к чему привыкли. Это и сослужило им дурную службу. В 1970 году Фредди Гаррити распустил свою группу.
And I became very good friends with the people in Freddie and the Dreamers. And Freddie, the lead singer, gave this to me as a Christmas present, which was rather nice. He signed the CD, Best Wishes, John. He actually told me that one day this would be worth a lot of money when he dies, because it's got his autograph on it. 3 or 4 years ago, sadly, he did die, but it's a personal memento that I will keep forever. But it's great fun, and I like the music of the 60s and 70s, the early Beatles. But Paul McCartney is still bashing out songs now, so he's a millionaire many times over. But he needs to be. He keeps getting divorced and all these women keep taking his money. British rock is the best in the world. That's not a comment that I would make. I think there is a myth that British music is the best, but there is good music from everywhere.
А почему среди множества британских групп популярными стали именно Beatles?
I'm not sure there is an easy answer. I think very much it's an American phenomenon. America was bored and looking for something new. And English beat music, if you call it beat music of the 60s, the Beatles just filled a gap. They were looking for something. Most things happen by accident. Most big things in life happen by accident. And the Beatles will agree, I've seen some of their interviews, they just happened to be in the right place at the right time and got lucky.
Beatles – легендарная английская музыкальная группа из Ливерпуля. Одна из наиболее знаменитых и коммерчески успешных групп в истории популярной музыки. Внешний вид, манера поведения и убеждения музыкантов сделали их законодателями стиля. К 1985 году The Beatles продали более чем 1 миллиард записей во всем мире. В 2004 году журнал Rolling Stone назвал The Beatles номером 1 в своем списке 100 самых больших музыкантов всех времен.
In fact, they were very lucky because another group had gone to America before them and been just as well received. And if it had not been for some scheduling problems, the Beatles would not have been the superstars. It would have been the group called the Dave Clark Five. But the Dave Clark Five had some problems, and I'm sure they are sitting somewhere now thinking, how did we miss out? We went to America, we filled the stadiums, we were the #1 group, but we had a problem and the Beatles sneaked in and took over from us. So life's just one big accident. Personally, I can't say I've ever liked big time the Beatles music. There were other groups of that era that I enjoy more. But someone must like them because they sold an awful lot of records. In England, I like Boyzone. It's great romantic music. When I was working in nightclubs, the best thing to put on, the last track would always be something by Boyzone, because then boys and girls, men and women, could always have a nice 3-minute smooch on the dance floor before they go home. Boyzone would be probably my favourite. I like some American music. I'm very much into 50s, 60s rock and roll. If you go back a little further, before my time, I just like the music. I like American doo-wop, which I have some CDs of. and I can sit and have a glass of Soviet Champanska. I can listen to some American doo-wop, have some cheese and biscuits, and have a very nice quiet evening, thank you.
Дoo-wop популярный в 50-х и 60-х годах вокальный жанр ритм-энд-блюза, сильное влияние на которое оказала традиция церковного хорового пения – госпел. Многие песни в стиле doo-wop исполняются акапелла. Основная тематика doo-wop песен – любовь, так как жанр родился на городских улицах, где группы молодых ребят таким образом старались привлечь внимание девушек.
If I was going tomorrow to a music store, what would I be buying? Right at this moment, I'd be buying the latest Glucosa CD. So it would not be... That's the highest thing on my shopping list at the moment. I love the latest music video where I think it's a pastiche of the War of the Worlds film, where the aliens come down. I think it's great. My daughter loves the music, and when it comes on the television, we turn it up and we both sing and stamp our feet. So I think Russian music is very underestimated, but you never hear it in England, you never hear it in America. I enjoy Russian language music. There are a number of groups and singers that I like. I'm a man, I like Viagra, of course. Glucosa is probably my favorite, most entertaining Russian language singer. I like the music. I like the promotional DVDs that they show with the music. I just find it very entertaining. I love the Christmas spectaculars that you put out in this part of the world. In Russian language, Russian-speaking countries, you have Christmas spectacular shows where several popular singers and groups will perform, and there's a little story that brings it all together. I think they're great. It's something that we've lost in England. We don't see things like that anymore. I assume it's because the most popular singers want too much money, and to get 10 popular groups in one program would break the bank. I don't think the BBC would have that much money. But when you see people like Philip Kirkorov, Verka Serduchka, who I think is fantastic, Glucosa, Maladze, Annie Loraks, Tina Carroll, you see all these stars in one program, albeit put together as a little story. I find it great entertainment. And Verka Serduchka was one of my first English teachers. A friend of mine gave me a couple of Serduchka CDs, which I'm sure I was the only person playing in England. I would drive in my car with Sabutit Harosho coming blazing out of the windows, and I learned Mili Drug, my good friend, Sabutit Harosho, everything will be okay. I learned all these little expressions from my favorite teacher, Verka Serduchka.
Верка Сердючка. Сценический образ и псевдоним Андрея Данилко, используемый им с 1993 года. Это упитанная грудастая женщина с резким голосом и грубыми манерами, говорящая на суржике, смеси русского и украинского языков. Верка Сердючка, несмотря на скандальность и противоречивость, сумела завоевать широкую известность и добиться коммерческого успеха. То выступление Верки Сердючки стоит не менее $30 тысяч. Сердючка – обладательница бриллиантовых дисков и премии Муз-ТВ. На конкурсе Евровидения в 2007 заняла второе место и получила приз зрительских симпатий.
Serduchka is entertainment. It's entertainment. If you take it as good fun and just entertainment, then it's great. Why not? So I'll see you again sometime. Yeah, to the other room, yeah?
Don't be shy. I just wanna talk to you.